Hello everyone, and welcome back to another market review. This is Silunt. Today we're looking at the NASDAQ December contract for 2025. Starting off with the weekly chart, we rallied up so far in the week and pulled back into its own range. I'm suspecting that we will continue bullish throughout the rest of the week and maybe produce a blow-off top move to close the week off. Dropping down to the daily chart, you can see how we opened today with a slight gap up. Price traded lower into the new week opening gap, this small volume balance here, and worked its way up into the daily wick from Monday up into our 893 level and closed off of the high to end the day. On the 4-hour chart, I'm just bringing down those higher time frame levels, and I've extended our 4-hour sell-side imbalance into today's price action. Kind of a consolidation day again. I'm kind of expecting a really strong move going into tomorrow with all this consolidation that's been happening. After we drop down to this key level, it's going to be out of the ordinary if we don't rally strongly, and I would like us to try and drop into these highs and eventually overlap this 4-hour balance price range, utilize it as support, and head for a new all-time high going into the end of the week. One thing we need to note is how the bodies of the 4-hour candles are respecting this sell-side imbalance. So extending it through and having this buy-side imbalance overlap that range is very nice. So it's important to note the bodies of what they're doing after we come down and test it and become indecisive and then start dropping down into it. Seeing this bullish rally, I'm going to start paying attention to the wicks that the market produced in this rally as we took out all this buy-side liquidity. What we've done pretty much is redeliver into the SIBI, come off of it, and are testing that daily wick constant encroachment and digging up into this up close candle. So the bodies of current price action need to start eating away at these highs for me to feel convinced that the rally is going to be so quick. If we see any sensitivity to the downside with this 4-hour wick constant encroachment and a delivery back down into this wick, I'll be maybe suspecting that we need to run out some more sell side liquidity. So referencing back to our daily levels, we have the deeper one and the one shaded in purple here. I would not want price to violate the 529 level if we're going to remain bullish, but we can come out and sweep into this range here because there's just a wick here and just a wick here after this buy side delivery. There's no bodies down inside this range, if that makes sense. So depending on what we do here, I would like maybe price to need to rebalance this a little bit more and then head up higher. The main thing I'm watching first would be that wick and how strong of a delivery we get through the discount raise that we would want to see price support. If they don't support, we'll be drawing back down into here and then considering another turning point after that. And so that brings my attention to this sell side imbalance from the 1-hour chart. So we've seen price deliver into that and rejected harshly, creating that wick from the 4-hour. So if we cannot get a sustainable run through, it would need to immediately overlap this down close candle with the up close candle for me to feel strongly bullish. So the rally we had up into here and then unsustainability to fill that gap completely yet is leading me to suspect that maybe a pullback is due, which happened, and now maybe we'll do a turning point inside this gap. If not, we'll be utilizing it as an inversion array, sweep out today's low, and then consider the turning point later on in the day. So far, we just had all of that consolidation from the past day or so. After yesterday's open, we had that drop down, and it's just been chopping people up. We dropped down into the 4-hour SIBI and started closing in that range with a candle body basis, and then pulled off of it really strongly and wrecked everybody that was trying to short early. So we'll see how we are going into the remaining days of the week. My eye is on this SIBI and this buy sign balance here for tomorrow. And dropping down to the 15-minute chart, you can see today's price action. We had our news at 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. As we open on the Asia range, we consolidate, spend some time on the new day opening gap, and then rally and take out the highs here and begin consolidating. Price starts breaking down in the Asia range and heads back down towards our new day opening gap. Price rejects from that range and attempts to rally. We fail to deliver above these highs and have a turning point at the opening price here, this up close candle here, and start to fall through the midnight opening price here. We begin dropping lower and completely redeliver into that 4-hour sell side imbalance early on in the day during London, and then that's what causes all this congestion here, because we hit our target so fast. As we eat up through this down close candle, you can see how we start to turn the tides here after this candle is overlapped. This now invites a lot of consolidation and congestion. The main thing to look at is the down close candle that was produced after that. Notice that there's no bodies closing below that range until we deliver back into midnight opening price and back into this up close range from the Asia range time period. As we start getting into the open of New York, we have that turning point at the midnight opening price in this up close range here from Asia. We begin breaking down and completely overlap this up close candle here with the buy side imbalance. Price has a turning point utilizing this SIBI and this buy side imbalance here as a balanced price range, and price cascades lower as the news begins to release. We step down below the London low multiple times as we're opening for New York, and there's a lot of back and forth price action. Finally, as we get into 10:30, we rally up and sweep all of the buy side liquidity from Asia and London open all in one fell swoop and then drop back lower. So price is constantly referring back to the 4-hour sell side imbalance multiple times today, and then we have a bit of congestion inside this SIBI and the new day opening gap, and we drop down lower one more time, swipe some sell side liquidity, and start convincing people to sell breakout shorts. We trip the switch on them, and price begins to rally and overlaps this down close range here, leaving this buy side imbalance open. We begin to respect the new day opening gap here in this candle, and we rally up into that 1-hour sell side imbalance towards the end of the day, and then drop down and overlap this up close candle. Closer look of this jumbled mess on the 5-minute chart. We have London high and low delineated, and price sweeps down under that during the New York open. We have a turning point when this up close range overlaps this range. Price drops down significantly after that and references the low of the 4-hour SIBI and starts to crawl back up higher, the constant encroachment of this wick, and then dropping lower again, referencing the low of that SIBI one more time, and rally up into the buy side liquidity, then faltering lower again, continuously referencing the 4-hour SIBI today. Have a little bit of a sell model inside of this SIBI here and the new day opening gap, and get a nice drop into all that liquidity that was built up throughout the open and lunch. Then finally, during the end of the day, this would probably be one of the cleaner entries today, this buy side imbalance here, respecting the low quadrant of the 4-hour SIBI and rallying higher, and then overlapping that 1 hour SIBI and almost closing it in, and then rejecting harshly off of it. Again, New York session, but on a 1 minute chart. We have our first presentation fair value gap here. Price consolidates up and down through it all throughout the opening of the day. And then as we get into our news, we rally up into the buy side liquidity and then drop back down. Spend more time inside the higher time frame level and our opening range imbalance. Drop down and then again a strong push here. Then price rejects it and begins turning lower, respecting up close candles on the way down. And then as we open on the afternoon, we get our first presentation fair value gap here. Price respects it and has a nice long opportunity to close the day with a bullish rally. Alright, so that's going to be it for me today. Hopefully you learned something. If you found anything insightful, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. I'll see you all tomorrow.